My next guest is a marketing and mindset mentor for ambitious female coaches who are ready to break the glass ceiling, accelerate their growth, build a purpose-driven and profitable online business without sacrificing their wellness. Please welcome Christina. Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next-level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I am here today with Christina. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me. I am so excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for your time, for being here. I'm so excited. Let's dive in and tell us more about who you are, what you do, what you're up to in this world.
My name is Christina. I'm a marketing and mindset mentor and consultant for ambitious coaches that are ready to break that self-imposed ceiling, accelerate their growth, and really build a purpose-driven and profitable online business without having to sacrifice their health, their relationships. And I really focus on the clarity, the confidence, the strategy. And of course, without any of that, you need the implementation, because without implementation, nothing really matters. So I've been on this journey for well over a year. Something I've always wanted to do was coach and help others. It was just something that comes naturally to me, but it took me some time to get here today. It was actually I want to say 7, 8 years, probably 8 years in the making. I'm a career-long saleswoman. I've had various sales experience in different roles. And throughout my journey, I ended up having a corporate sales job that kind of fell on my lap. And I fell in love. As soon as I got that job, I actually fell in love with marketing. I was selling online digital real estate to businesses across Canada, Facebook, SEO, Instagram, ads, all of that stuff, and absolutely fell in love with it. And it was able to combine my skills of wanting to help other people, because when I was a kid, I'd be playing school and teacher. And I guess a lot of that stuff carried over, because now I'm I teach and help others build their business. And it wasn't until I hit that corporate experience, I'm wow, I love sales. I love marketing. I love colliding the worlds together. And so at that time, a few years into that experience, I soared up the corporate ladder to senior sales manager, and was leading a team of about between 10 and 11 people to sales success. And I also actually survived a department shutdown. Thankfully, they kept me, and I moved into a campaign manager role. So I learned the other side of the business, where I was doing Facebook ads, the content marketing, all of that stuff that before I was selling. And now I'm doing the back end stuff. And that's when I really started to hone in on the skills, and had a wedding planning business at that time. And through working with coaches, I didn't know, I couldn't find my footing. I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know who, I didn't know how. And through working with coaches, I actually discovered the online world. I discovered that I could package up my skills and put a nice bow on it and help others do the same in growing their business. So it was almost like a say no more. I'm closed down the wedding planning business, pivoted over, and here I am. Now I'm helping other coaches do the same.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I just love your background so much. You have so much experience, and this is just awesome to hear you share your story. So I'm curious to know, like, how was that pivot for you? Like, was it a lot of like a long-term adaptation, or like did you get in really quickly and learn all the ropes online? Like, how was that transition for you?
It was immediately. It was actually, I had a life coach at that time, and I was just going through, I'm like, what do I love? Like, what would just come so naturally to me? What's my experience? What's my background? Like, I knew I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I knew that was something I always wanted, was the time freedom, the freedom. I used to actually have, I had somebody graffiti on a canvas for me, time freedom, and I had that up in my room for probably like a decade. And so it was
Wow.
something that really stuck to me. And as soon as I did discover the online world, I'm like, my coach, I'm like, that's it. This is it. This is what I'm doing. And I had a business partner at that time. She was going back into like real estate. So it kind of just worked out perfectly, because I discovered that I didn't want to have the life of, my uh, summers pre-booked, my weekends all taken up. It wasn't the life that I wanted to create. So as soon as like it was like say no more, I pivoted, and I immediately started online, went through created my Instagram page. Luckily, I have like the background of growing and scaling businesses from corporate. So for me, it was a little bit of an easier transition, although I've never sold myself as a brand before. So after a few months of trial and error, I was like, okay, this is a little bit tougher than I thought. I kind of went in with the mentality of, yeah, I got this. I'm just going to create an Instagram page. I'm going to put up a bio. I'm going to show up, and then people are just going to come to me, right? Isn't that how it goes? And it's far from the truth. And eventually I ended up investing more in my business, hiring coaches to help pave that way. And everything led me to where I am today. And I wouldn't have got here without any support and guidance that I decided to take that risk and invest in myself, to have people in my corner that can help me reach my goals a lot faster than going through the trial and error.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like having a coach is so like essential in our, like our growth, our development, and how we really approach the online space and how we grow a brand and all of that. So yeah, definitely. So you say that you help people with clarity, confidence, strategy, and implementation, which is really important. So like, what's the first step in helping your clients get that clarity and then implementing what they find out?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. So I revert this back to my method of I call it the triple S method, because we start with self, we start with strategies, and then we go into sales. So with anyone that I work with, it's getting a really holistic view on their business and the actual thing that they want. Because oftentimes I find that my clients come to me, they're like, oh, I'm just doing these things because I thought that I had to do them. It's like, well, no, what do you want to do? How do you want to build your business? What's actually like aligned to you? What are your values? And we kind of really, really peel back the layers of the thing that they actually want. And once we discover that, we, aligning with their core values, getting clarity on like the bigger picture. And once we have discovered, okay, this is the thing that I want, this is how I want to run my business, this is how it would feel good if, to make money, because there's not one way to do anything. So once we get the clarity of what they want, we then go into, okay, so this is the strategy, like here's a strategy, we'll try out different things, because it's kind of also, if they've never done it before, it's also finding what works and what doesn't, what aligns with them and what doesn't, because there isn't a one size fits all. So from there we get working on creating their strategic product suite, figuring out how they want to attract clients, what's their voice, and how can we amplify that? How can we differentiate you from the market with other people teaching similar topics? So we go through the clarity phase of their unique value proposition, what is their method, and what makes them different. And then from there, we pivot over to creating that messaging. How are we going to effectively position your offer to make it a no-brainer to your ideal client? And then from there, we put in the dates on the calendar of like, okay, how do you want to launch this thing? Do you want to, have it evergreen? Do you want to do forever, like an open enrollment? Do you want to do like, what's a sales funnel? Basically, like, how do you want the buyer's journey to be? So the way that I do it is we attract. So how do you want to attract your ideal clients? Is that going to be through content, blog writing, email list, ads? Like, how are you going to attract them? From there, it's okay, how are you going to engage and nurture them? Are you going to do trainings? Are you going to do workshops? Are you going to put them on an email list? And once we discover how they want to nurture them, plus also excite them to kind of lead them through that buyer's journey, it's okay, so now we're nurturing them. And now how are we going to position your offer as that solution to their problem that they just raised their hands up and said, hey, I have this problem. I need help solving it. Boom, that's where you come in. We're going to position you as that go-to expert. And then from there, we talk about, okay, how are we going to invite them? How are we going to invite them to your offer, tell them what it is, who it's for, and how life will be better after working with you? Once we put that strategy in place, we're like, okay, how do we delight your customers? How are you going to give them that white glove luxury experience that they're just going to want to keep coming back and back for more? But also, how are we going to create like a fan base, a community, your evangelists, like people that are going to rave about you? So that's kind of a little bit in a nutshell of like the method that I would teach. Like my framework is all from attracting to connecting to nurturing to inviting them to delighting them. In a nutshell, on the implementation. And then, of course, tweaking and collecting the data, refining it, and then implementing it again. So it's that's where I find it's really nice to have someone in your corner because we don't see the blind spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. So basically, what you've described is the way you truly sit down with your clients and you're like, okay, here's the plan. So it sounds really exciting, and I'm just so excited for your clients to have you. Like, it sounds just so amazing. And I'm curious to know, like, what's the most effective way that you've seen yields results in the buyer's journey? Like, how do you bring, quote unquote, cold leads to hot leads? Like what's the fastest, easiest way you've seen that works?
Yeah. So one thing that I always think is that, starting with relationship first really does help the bottom line. And I find that the best way to do that is, you're going to bring people in, they're finding you, they're seeing your content, they see you for the first time, they're cold, they're not too sure, they're reading, they're scoping out, they're seeing what it's like. And, it's really, it really does come down to knowing who your ideal client is very specifically, like the psychographics of what their mindset is like. Because when they do read your content, you want to make sure that it's speaking to a specific person and solving a very specific problem. So when they do read it, they're like, wow, oh my God, this is me. And you want them to double down on your content, right? And now they're going to consume a little bit more, maybe watch your stories, check out your highlights. They're kind of slowly warming up on their own. And from there, it's being able to build those connections, be able to put out content that is specifically for them, and give them a micro conversion. Because if somebody opts into something of yours and it's solving a micro problem, and they're that type of person that takes action, because those are the people that you really want to speak to, is those action takers. And if they go and implement your free stuff, they'll think, okay, cool, I actually just got a win from her free stuff. I wonder what her paid stuff is like. And now you're going to be seen as that go-to expert. And when you are, if you are launching, or if you have an open enrollment and you're making invites to tell people like, hey, I'm in service, here's how I can help you, here's what you need to do if you feel called to. And then that's those people that you want to move into the hot leads, where they're going to reach out to you, be like, hey, tell me more about your service. So it really does come down to like content. And I always say content is your currency. So it's really being able to speak to a very specific problem and solve it for them. Like, don't leave them hanging. Like, be like, hey, you have a problem with this. Here's like 3 things you can do. That's very surface level. But I always say go deeper, so then you are seen as that go-to expert, as the authority, as somebody that they'll see that you have a method in helping them solve that problem. They're going to trust you even more now because you actually have a framework. So I really feel that, nurturing them with like a really great, good public facing content and giving them those micro wins so that they're going to come back for more and more and more. And eventually you're just going to say the right thing at the right time for them to tick and be like, okay, I need help. And then you're going to have that sales competition with them.
So much value. I love it. So, what would you say? Because I know mindset is a huge thing, especially when we're first starting. So, what would you say to someone who's maybe listening right now and maybe they've been through all of that? Maybe they are creating lots of content and freebies and values, but they're still not seeing the results. Like, what would you tell them to help them, mindset wise?
Yeah. So I always say take that step back, check in with yourself and check in with like your ego, because if you are doing things, are you doing these tactics based on what you're seeing other people do? And if you are, you can't expect the same results without having that same energy that's going to bring in those clients, because at the end of the day you want to exude your confidence, you want to exude that with, you want to like come up with conviction. And if you're doing things because other people are doing it, you're doing it from that wrong energy, so of course you're not going to get the same results, right? It's like I have like a lot of my clients are like, I did everything, and that's usually where I come in. It's like, okay, you've done it all. Well, let's actually go a little bit deeper to see why it's really not working and where the energy is also coming from. Because one thing that I will say to that is make sure that you are doing things because it aligns to you, not because you think that you have to do a particular strategy. Because if that's the energy that you're coming from, you're not going to get the results, because it's a different energy than somebody else's that they're using this strategy towards. So I will say that the biggest thing when it comes to that is also having the clarity. Because if you're doing everything, you're showing up, you're doing the stories, you're doing the hard work, but for some reason nothing is working, it comes back down to one, of course, energy, your mindset, but also how are you positioning yourself as the solution? Most people fall weak on the solution part, where they pitch their offer or they present their offer with something that's like, hey, you want to be more confident, live your best life, shoot me a DM. Nobody knows what that means. We all want to be confident, we all want to live that best life, but what does that actually like mean in all facets of your ideal client life? Like those are the things that you need to speak to. So I would definitely take that step back, go to the drawing board, figure out what have you done, what's your numbers, what's worked, what didn't work, and where are you coming from? Is it from aligned action, or are you coming from that place of I need a client? Because that's going to repel people. Like people notice that. And so another tip that I would say is put your blinders on, just put your sunglasses, put those shades on, mute absolutely everyone that might trigger you, anyone that is maybe a direct competition, anyone that doesn't make you feel good, just unfollow them or use the mute button. It is your best friend. And ask yourself, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to serve today? How do I want to make people feel today? And lead with that.
Yes, so good. I love it. You're amazing. I ask this to everyone who comes on the podcast, and I'm very curious to know your answer. So, what does being a powerful leader mean to you?
How are you leading? What do you want to be known for? And how do you want people to feel after they have interacted with you? Because I think leadership comes down to it's really a feeling. It's really how you feel in what you are doing and how you want other people to feel in the way that they interact with you. A powerful leader really comes down to self-love. I think that's what it really comes down to, is loving and owning who you are and being very unapologetic for it, is owning your values, owning the polarizing opinions that you may have on industries and whatnot, but really just truly owning who you are and showing up in a way that you want people to be better than before they met you, and leaving that little mark and imprint of being able to shift somebody's perspective in that moment. And so basically I would say that would be what it would mean to me.
Yes, I love it. This is so good. So, do you have any last piece of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
write down a list of your whys, why you're doing the thing that you're doing, what is it that you're really after, and hold that so close to your heart, because entrepreneurship, it's a roller coaster, right? It's not rainbows and butterflies. We all have different seasons in business, and it's not to compare yours to anybody else's, because it takes time. So I would get really clear on your whys and why you're doing what you're doing, and read that every single day and go back to it, because when times get hard or when things are amazing, you always have that to fall back on, because that's the thing that you're doing. It has nothing to do with the money that you're going to make. That's just a byproduct of all the beautiful things that you're doing. So keep those core values, those visions, those whys so close to your heart, and read them every single day, especially when times are difficult, because it's going to happen. So prepare for it and at least be proactive about it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Amazing. So where can people go to connect with you further online?
Yeah, I hang out on Instagram. It is my jam. It's where you'll find me. I'm at Christina Sergnese. It's one word. And come say hi, shoot me a DM, let me know where you found me. It was on this podcast. I love connecting and making friends. If I could help you or guide you in any way, I am always happy to do so. So I'm on Instagram, so feel free to come check me out, say hi, and let me know where you came from.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here, for your time. This was amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.